I talked to a fireman once. This is one of the reasons it freaked me out. And he was telling me, he goes, dude, one day, he goes, it's just going to be the right wind and fire's going to start in the right place and it's going to burn through LA all the way to the ocean. And there's not a fucking thing we can do about it. I go, really? He goes, yeah, we just get lucky. He goes, we get lucky with the wind. He goes, but if the wind hits the wrong way, it's just going to burn straight through LA and there's not going to be a thing we can do about it. Because these fires are so big, dude. When they're talking about like thousands of acres that are burning simultaneously with like 40-mile-an-hour winds. And the wind's just blowing embers through the air, and those embers are landing on roofs, and those houses are going up, and they're landing on bushes, and those bushes are going up, and everything's dry. And once it happens in a way where it's so spread out that there's nothing they can do. There's nothing they can do.
You just have to evacuate.
I know that many of my viewers happen to be European, and so you may not know that right now, California is experiencing some of the worst fires that I have seen in my lifetime. You get apocalyptic images such as this. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of people evacuated, thousands of buildings burned down. The material damage is going to be colossal, especially since some of the wealthiest neighborhoods in America have caught fire. And it seems that the authorities are utterly overwhelmed. They can't do anything to stop the fire, just like in the clip with Joe Rogan that you saw in the beginning. It exactly happened as the worst predictions. And so, because people were talking about it before the fires happened, especially the president-elect Donald Trump went on several occasions to talk about the water in California, on how they're diverting the water in order to protect the species of small fish. And because of that, there's not enough water, so in an event like this, there's going to be problems. Well, the event did happen, and now people are pointing fingers, and they're trying to blame who's responsible. And some of the people have blamed it on mysticism. I saw a couple of individuals on Fox News blaming the California decadent lifestyle, the Sodoma and Gomorrah. God is punishing California. That's one of the mystical blames that I have seen. But we get a more modern mystical blame as well, which is the fact that the Californians didn't pay enough taxes to Gavin Newsom because he is the one that can protect Californians from the weather. This is a new age mysticism, the belief that by spending more taxes, by spending more money to the government and living a more pious life than our politicians, only our politicians get to have air conditioning and only they get to fly on private jets. But we, the normal people, we gotta subject ourselves to a most simple life, more pious life, have less kids, don't have the air conditioning, don't drive a car, and pay more taxes so that the politicians protect us from calamities like this. That's also a mystical thinking that I have seen being promoted on Twitter. But regardless, if you believe in mysticism or if you're a smart individual that's capable of communing with the science, the reality is that it is indeed bizarre that in the middle of the winter, in January, you're having this level of fires. Like, it's not normal. I mean, I'm not saying that a fire can't start in January, but like in a place that is indeed surrounded by water, you would think that they would manage to put it off. Like, you would think they would manage to contain it, rather than seeing these visions, which I've seen in documentaries about the burning of London. But apparently, not only are people unable to put out the fires, you're also having problems with insurance. A lot of people are blaming this insurance called State Farm for canceling a lot of insurances a couple of months prior. And so this is creating accusations that someone somewhere was colluding to get this happen. And why did the insurance companies pull out? What caused insurance companies to all of a sudden decide to not cover people? And as you can see here, like, the community notes is explaining that this is what happened when you have price controls. And the reality is that we know that price controls do this level of damage because it's not the first time in human history that someone tried price control. Believe it or not, humanity is here for more than 3,000 years. Almost any economic possibility has already been tried to some level. And we can look back in history when the Catholics, which were the first tried doing price control, it was called the good price. So basically, like the wise people of the church, they decided they know what the bread is worth. They know what salt is worth. And so we can have the good price so that the greedy merchants, the evil corporate entities do not profit off of the people. And when they did that, what happened was economic disaster. Because in an economy, prices fluctuate. There's many variables that can move. And so if you are to look at the farmer, what he does is like he has to invest money in order to grow the crops. So like he has to buy the farm equipment, he has to feed the animals, he has to invest in the seeds. And if you have like the fair price, and those variables start to increase, like maybe the cost of cattle becomes higher, maybe the cost of fertilizer grows. Well, what you're basically having now is that the farmer can invest a certain amount, and he can sell it for less than he invented. Like he is worse off than a slave. At least a slave works for free. You're basically saying that the farmer, as he works, he will get indebted. He will become in debt if he keeps working. What type of human would do that? Like, what type of moron would decide not to work for free, but to work for debt? So, like, if I don't do anything, I'm on zero, but if I start working, I actually end up in debt. And many people don't understand that even if it's a large corporation, if it's a multinational or something, and it has, like, different branches in different places, it doesn't want the branch to operate just to go in debt. There's no reason for that. So they're going to shut off the branch. Which is what happened with many places in California, from stores that because of the legislation you had rampant looting and pillaging of the stores. So they shut down because it's like, why keep the store open so we go in debt? It makes no sense. And this is exactly the same what happens with the insurance companies. They're like, okay, so you're making legislations, you're fixing our prices. And if we follow the legislation, we're in debt, we're just going to shut down. And the reality is the politicians are aware of this because they're smart people. And it's not just that the politicians are smart people. They're surrounded by other smart people. Don't they always sell us the experts and how wise and capable they are with their expertise, and they know the science and they commune with it? Surely they can commune with the economic science as well. But you know why they do it? Because it gets votes. Because people are uneducated, they don't understand what price control is, and it sounds so good, right? It sounds so good. It's like for the first time ever in human history, in 2025, a governor has decided that we can actually fix the economy, we can improve everyone by fixing the prices. What an amazing idea. I wonder why no one else has thought about it. Like no other country, no other nation came up with the concept, but all of a sudden he did it, so vote for him. And the reality is, they obviously didn't expect this level of damage. Because they thought, okay, you know, like maybe someone loses insurance, they're going to blame the company. Maybe like a couple of people are upset, they will blame the company and and I get the votes. But it turns out when the situation is at this level of, I mean, it's absolutely colossal. And people start looking into it a little bit deeper. There's also other speculations of why the fire went to the way it did. I saw a speculation that California bought some trees from Australia which produce some sort of inflammable oil. I don't know. But again, as I mentioned before, people before this happened were warning that this is a tragedy waiting to take place. So apparently with the correct type of wind, with the correct type of conditions, it can happen, and it did. Ana Kasparian was blaming the Democrats. Like, just so you can understand, Ana Kasparian, out of all people, was blaming the Democrats. Right, regarding the politics, I'm pretty sure the people in California are going to vote on it. I would say that insurance will cover it. It will not. There will be grifting, as usual, like after all these types of tragedies everywhere around the world. You know, like I grew up with Hollywood, and it's like after a tragedy, everyone gets together No, in reality, what happens after a tragedy, there's very cheap land to buy. And people know this. And the ones with money are going to be like, wow, it's very interesting. You got your house burned down, right? Don't you want to sell it to me? Like, I can give you a one-room apartment in the middle of nowhere. I know your house is probably worth hundreds of millions, but like, I can help you out, right? If you don't want to, I mean, you can still have a burning house that no one wants. Right? So we're probably going to see this. Like, there's going to be a lot of grifting going on. The housing prices probably will explode even further. This will cause long-term medical problems for a lot of people that didn't evacuate in time and they inhaled the smoke, as well as for the firefighters that are still there and they're battling this. If they don't have protective gear, they will definitely have consequences later down the line. California is a major agricultural producer, so you may notice that being affected. I don't know if the fields burned out. If the fields burned out, then you may actually notice shortages. And of course, economic disruption. I mean, we're looking at potentially tens of billions of dollars in damages. I mean, that's colossal. Do you know about the insurance companies, like the ones that stayed? Like normally in situations like this, they would raise their premiums, but due to the good pricing laws, well, anyway, I know it's a meme on the internet to make fun of California, but in this situation, I won't. If you're there, I wish you the best. I hope you manage to pull through. I hope your house isn't affected. And let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.